Yeah, man. Let's just get right into it. Overreaction Monday, which is one of our favorite new segments on here, where I give a couple things that might be overreactions, and I ask my esteemed panel here if they are overreactions. So I'm going to start with my first one, and I know Bears fans don't want to hear this one. My first overreaction: Drake May is going to finish more passing touchdowns this year than Caleb Williams. That is my overreaction. We look at it right now. He has in only 5 games he's played, he has 770 yards passing, 6 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. While our boy Caleb in 8 games, he's still in the hangover. I'm not hungover. I have a head cold, sir. I did not have any alcohol this week. I will this week. Well, but Caleb in 8 games, 1,665 yards, 9 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. With the way the offense has been going, with the way the play calling has been going, he ain't had a touchdown in 2 games now. Is this an overreaction to say that Drake May will have more passing touchdowns? I go to Bang first.
Said it again. I'm actually trying to listen to what the fuck is going on in my house right now.
I said it's an overreaction to say that Drake May is going to have more passing touchdowns.
Oh, yeah. Nah, it's not an overreaction. Only reason why I say it's not overreaction because look how loose he's playing compared to what Caleb's doing. Like, Drake is actually playing loose as fuck. And our quarterback, which is number 1 goddamn pick in the goddamn NFL, is playing like he got a stick up his ass. So, no, it's not an overreaction.
Pav, I don't know how much Drake May you watched. I know you watched a lot of Caleb. Do you think this is an overreaction?
I haven't seen Drake May play too much. I know I did watch a little bit of the Titans Patriots game yesterday. I like the end of it. It's not an overreaction, but it should be. Just considering that Caleb been out there since day 1 starting. I mean, I think him not having a touchdown in, like you said, 2 games now is kind of egregious. Again, some of that's play calling, some of that he need throws some better passes because I didn't see some stuff that he was throwing out there where he was completely missing people as well. So it's not an overreaction, but at the same time, the fact that it's not an overreaction is kind of I don't want to say it's kind of embarrassing.
Yeah.
But I'm still hold strong and say that I think Caleb will finish with more pass. I think he'll write that. Granted, he's a rookie. It's his 8th game. He's not playing terrible, but I think for lack of better words, he'll right the ship at some point in time this season that, get back on, at least to looking better than what he's looked the past few weeks.
Dante, what you think?
At this point, it sounds right. It sounds about right. Like, I have no faith in nobody right now. Like, from what we've seen, like, we feast on bad teams, but there aren't too many more bad teams on our schedule. So, I mean, what are we going to do? I think the book is out. Rush the kid. Like in the first one, we were playing the bad teams. It was a lot of, he's completing the quick ones. But now I don't know if that was just that instilled some, false confidence in him because now, like you said, he's just ignoring the layups and trying to go for all home runs. And that's not going to work. In these next couple of weeks coming up, it is a wrap. They do it. People said that before the draft, and everybody was like, "Don't do that." But you're very right. We saw Zach Wilson do the same off balance throws and all the other shit. So I don't want to go that far and compare him to Zach, but it's back to just to get back on point. Drake May, yes, he'll have more touchdowns. Okay. I was about to keep going, but Drake May.
One thing about NFL season, man, NFL season will humble you very quickly and have you on your knees very quickly. Like just 3 weeks ago, nigga, we was putting this nigga's Hall of Fame bust in Canada.
Yeah, it's that commercial. It's a beautiful day, and then a bad day, and motherfuckers just walking around sad to the motherfucker.
Yeah, and then in true Bears fashion, they gonna win some games they got no business winning, and then you gonna be watching American Night in Football. Well, I'm telling you, in typical Bears, the Bears. I'm telling you,
which game?
I'm not saying which game they're gonna win. This thing that's annoying about the Bears.
I just need some hope, nigga, because I see that schedule. Outside
they did it last year. They did it last year.
They're gonna win this games, man. They're not a terrible football team. They can catch somebody on like an off game. They're gonna win some games. They're not gonna finish the season with 0 and whatever.
This Detroit team don't even look like the Detroit team we beat last year. and we ain't got the defense.
But it's also division
And,
games.
and you said you niggas. I'm not. See, this is where I get you, Scott. The Minnesota games is the only games, and I'm like, all right, they can win those games. Them are not the ain't got no business winning games. The ain't got no business winning games is San Francisco,
And
Green Bay.
Brother, we going 1-5 in the division.
No,
1-5.
Look, no, that's
We're
what
about to get
hope.
cooked.
You said you ain't picking Green Bay until we beat Green Bay.
It might be 0-6.
I didn't say they were picking Green Bay. I said
No, you said you're not picking Green Bay until they beat Green Bay. They got to prove it to you.
yeah, exactly. I'm still there. But what I'm saying is,
so
in
who we
typical
beating?
Bears-
Who we
no,
got the
in-
chance of beating?
I have no idea. I'm telling you, in typical Bears fashion, we want them to roll over so we can just go on and hopefully get Ben Johnson. No, I'm just telling you. I'm not rooting for losses, by the way. I'm done rooting for losses.
I'm with you. I just don't see it. I just don't see it because Detroit looks like
No.
Not because of Chicago. Detroit is a way better team that they have been.
I'm not disagreeing.
No. Just hear me. I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying Detroit looks like a way better team, a well-coached team. All of that. I don't think they got no chance there. If I were to pick the team they got a chance of beating, is the team that we don't want to pick because we ain't beat them. I think they could beat. I'm not saying this because I'm only saying this because the quarterback been throwing BLTs and dumbass shit. I truly believe we could beat the Green Bay Packers both times.
I don't see that at all.
But at the same time, I don't see them beating San Francisco. I don't see them beating.
Okay, I got some wins for you.
Yeah.
This will be my Bears.
Because Minnesota, I believe they can beat.
And by the way, I'm not saying they will do this, but I'm saying in typical Chicago sports fashion, if you want them to go away, they're gonna give you some more false hope because that's just what they do. They did it last year for the Cleveland game, and niggas was like, oh, well, they mathematically in it. Look, my thing is they would sweep Minnesota.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
They will beat Seattle. They'll split with Detroit in very, very fluky fashion.
I don't know.
And then, of course, they beat New England. That's 5 wins right there. That would be peak Chicago Bears. They get to 8-9 or 9-8, and then Paul's up there tomorrow. Well, he did enough to keep his job.
Think that I'm with you. I just think the only shocker games is not the Detroit games. I don't think we split with Detroit.
You think it's Green Bay?
I think it's Green Bay. If
anything, here's our resident
matter of fact,
you said they're gonna split with the Bears.
Matter of fact, I'll give you an extreme hot take that I truly believe. Because of the way we played Detroit last year, they're going to fucking embarrass us. Dan Campbell's sole goal for this season, outside of winning that division, which he should get, and all of that shit, is to destroy and embarrass the Bears for having a close game and should have lost to them twice.
And to your point, Bang, it's gonna look a lot like that Cowboys game. They're gonna be running hooks and ladders. The offensive linemen gonna be catching touchdowns. They're gonna fuck us up. I'm telling y'all right now. Like,
nigga Ben, you want to come here?
You want to
come where?
All I'm saying. The Bears never make it easy. They got to put us through hell one more time. Our Bears fans think it's going to drop to like 6-11. It ain't going to happen. They going to make it uncomfortable because that's just what the Bears do.
Yeah, I'm with you. I agree with you. I just think the uncomfortable is not the Detroit.
It won't be the Lions.
It's Green Bay.
Which will actually be more heartbreaking because these niggas going to really talk crazy. You might actually be right.
Exactly my point.
You might actually be right.
I think Detroit is going to make an example out of us, but we're going to go up against Green Bay, and you're going to be like, what the fuck?
No, it's a more heart-crushing one. They sweep Green Bay. And then niggas going to be like, oh, no, last time this was the Packers. And I'm telling you, it's going to be somewhere. They're not just going to roll over and die because they just don't do that. They're going to play with our feelings one last time. But speaking of Detroit, next overreaction, you look at the 2 best teams in football right now. Kansas City Chiefs. They are 7-0. If they beat Tampa Bay tonight, which I expect them to, because Baker Mayfield is throwing to me with all his wide receivers being hurt, they'll be 8-0 by the end of the night. The Detroit Lions are 7-1. But my overreaction, the Detroit Lions, not the Kansas City Chiefs, should be the Super Bowl favorite, no matter how much we respect Patrick Mahomes. Is that an overreaction?
Nigga, I said that shit last week. Hell yeah, that's not an overreaction. This Detroit team looks like they are not for the bullshit now. And they look like the Super Bowl favorite. And if they play the Kansas City Chiefs, I am saying this again, if they play the Kansas City Chiefs, I am unfortunate. When I said it the first time, I said it underneath my breath. Now, Detroit fans and all y'all gonna look at me crazy because I said don't nobody give a fuck about Detroit but the Detroit Lions. If the Detroit Lions get to the NFC Championship, they're winning. And if they go to when they go to the Super Bowl, unless somebody get hurt on the way there, y'all are looking at the Super Bowl champions. This team looks solid as fuck, Jack. I don't know what the hell Dan Campbell doing over there, but he putting the fear of God in niggas to make them come out and do what they doing and to play how they playing. And again, this is why it's important for the Bears to get Ben Johnson, because not only do we need that, we need to take some shit away from that team. The Detroit Lions looks scary.
Pavy, what you think? Do you think that we should still give the champs the benefit of the doubt, or do you think that we should be putting money on the Detroit Lions right now?
I mean, I don't know if I'll put money on Detroit, but I mean, number one, if I remember correctly, in the first game of the season last year, they did beat the Chiefs. If I remember correctly,
Yeah, they did.
Thursday night game, they did. They did beat the Chiefs. Also, the way that I'm not gonna say the Chiefs have been having fluky victories, but it hasn't come in normal Chiefs fashion that we've gotten used to seeing over the years. A lot of games. I mean, I think it was even like the Ravens game when yeah, they got down. It was a pass interference call, which was a fair call, and they've been sneaking out some victories. Now, at the end of the day, if it still says 7-0, it says 7-0. And when you look back, you're not going to see how you won every game. All that matters is that you win the games. But when I look at what Detroit is doing, I mean, Detroit is rolling over teams. Even their offense, a very balanced offense. You have David Montgomery, also you have Gibbs. So as a pace switch up, the quarterback Goff. I mean, Goff is. I mean, at this point, I know Matthew Stafford did what Matthew Stafford did, but if he keeps going at this pace, damn near he might get a statue outside damn near for the play that he's been having in Detroit. Like you said, Dan Campbell, every time if you go in the lab and you want to make a football coach, I think Dan Campbell is probably the coach you would come out with if you go in the lab and you make an actual football coach. So, yeah, man, I think Detroit is playing great football. And like you said, as long as nobody gets, as long as none of their key component guys, I know Hutch went down earlier in the season, but none of their key component guys, especially on offense, get hurt. Yeah, man, I don't really see too many teams. I don't really see anybody, honestly, playing better football right now than what I see the Detroit Lions playing.
Dante, you just said that they're going to beat the Bears like a government mule. Or do you think that they should be the favorite to win it all?
Yes, absolutely. I think they definitely taken that loss in the NFC Championship game last season personal. It's a situation where they're clicking on all cylinders, and even with the Hutchinson injury, I don't see too many people stopping them. Like I said, Jared Goff will be in the MVP conversation. He won't win it. It'll probably be Lamar or his backfield mate that we're about to talk about in a second. But no, I think the Detroit Lions are going to come out of the NFC, and I think they're going to, whoever they play in the playoffs, I think it's going to be the same thing. They're going to steamroll them. I think they're that good.
I think that they probably should be a favorite, but I don't feel real confident about them if they play anybody but the Chiefs. And I get all the football stats, everything like that. Maybe they do get Zadarius tomorrow in the trade. But who you got right? I just can't pick against Pat. I'm sorry. I think on paper it makes sense that the Detroit Lions should be the favorite because they've been playing better. They taking last year's NFC Championship loss personal. They blowing niggas out, and it looked like the Chiefs are just getting by. But they still have 15. They still have Andy Reid. And without an actual pass rush to get to that nigga, if Hutch was there, I would feel a lot better about that. You know what I'm saying? I would feel a lot better if Hutch was still there. But gun to my head, if they face the Super Bowl, I'd probably still have to pick the Chiefs. But if it's the field in the AFC, I got Detroit. Either way, Detroit looks like they're on a mission. And that's what Orlando said. Detroit hasn't played elite defense all year, but it doesn't matter because they blowing niggas out. That's what they went to. This is how you know Detroit's a good team. I'm around St. Brown wore a hoodie that said Green Bay sucks. and they went there and took care of business. If anybody on the Bears wore that hoodie, the Bears would have got embarrassed because that's just what happens. Detroit ain't scared of Green Bay. They hold them in Aaron Rodgers' last game as a Packer, stopped them getting the playoffs. They've owned the niggas ever since. And they just got that mojo, and it really feels like on paper, yes, I agree with everything y'all saying. He said Lamar's only lost one game in the NFC. That's cool. Doing the playoffs. And I think that he can't. I think Detroit can beat Baltimore. Baltimore, to me, has way too many fluky losses. Like, they look great one week, then look bad the next week. But speaking of Baltimore, Derrick Henry. If you're a Dallas Cowboy fan, I know you sick watching them go crazy after Jerry Jones said, I ain't paying the $5. He is already at 1,000 yards rushing, and we're only halfway into the season. He's got 11 touchdowns already on the ground. He's on pace to get around 20 if he keeps it up. And he's averaging 6.3 yards a carry. Insanity. My take is that Derrick Henry will be the first non-quarterback to win the MVP award since 2012, which was Adrian Peterson when he won MVP coming off that torn ACL. Lamar Jackson's killing it, but Lamar's won 2 in a row. You know how they are about giving people the award too many times in a row. Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes, but he leads the league in interceptions. He ain't really been playing well. Joe Burrow been killing it, but his team sucks. They're not going to give it to him. To me, this paves the way for Derrick Henry to get it done. Even just look how the team looks. The team is much different when they give him the ball. When they struggled to give him the ball at the beginning of the year, they weren't looking as effective as they were. And I think that for the first time in 12 years, voters, I'm like, yeah, this is usually a quarterback award. But he ended up getting 2,000 yards rushing, and he had about 17 touchdowns. We got to give it to Derrick Henry. Bang, I know you always said that non-quarterbacks don't even have a chance. Is your opinion changing on that?
Nah, my opinion is not changing on that. But at the same time, to me, this is your favorite for the MVP. But because he's not a quarterback, they're not going to give it to him. They will fuck around and give it to Joe Burrow before they give it to him. And if Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals was having a better season, if they had a better winning record, he would be the favorite for it. But nah, right now, if for us who watch football and we see what's going on, should Derrick Henry be the favorite? Yes, this man got 1,000 yards already, and you give him the rock within the first 3 yards of the end zone. He's with three yards left for the end zone. He's scoring every time. But between the story of Lamar Jackson being able to have a chance to win another one, but then also even though it was a little shaky yesterday, Josh Allen is not going anywhere. And the story of Jaden Daniels, the story of that has him as the favorite. Somebody, a quarterback, the second pick of the draft. I guess you can consider the Washington Commanders one of the charter franchises of the NFL. The story of that has him as the favorite, in my opinion, for the MVP. Derrick Henry is the favorite for the offensive player of the year, which is, hey, man, you might not be a quarterback, but here's your version of the MVP award.
Yeah, I feel like what Stogie said, I don't see them giving it to him.
No, I'm not saying that he will, but Lamar is, if Lamar keeps going, he's more likely to win. But let's be real. If the Washington Commanders end up with the best record in the NFC, it's going to be hard for somebody to not vote that man, because that would be the biggest story in maybe the last 5-10 years of football, that a rookie has come in and did that with that type of a franchise, with also everything that went on with Daniel Snyder and all of that shit. If the Commanders win 13 games, win the East, and is the number 1 seed in the NFC, he's getting MVP.
Pav, what you think about the MVP conversation? I know it's not a quarterback award, but do you think that Derrick Henry should be looked at as a favorite right now?
I don't even see how you give it to Derrick Henry over his not backfield mate, but teammate Lamar, unless you just
backfield mate is appropriate.
Fair. Unless you just have, that's funny. Unless you just have extreme voter fatigue. I don't understand understand how you do that, because I mean, I know Lamar has, 2 MVPs or whatever, but this is the best football as far as especially playing the position of quarterback that I've seen Lamar play. I think at least so far, I think this is probably Lamar's best season as far as being a quarterback. I know he's probably made more exciting plays with his legs in previous years, but I feel like he has more responsibility and he's actually winning more games through the air. And I don't see Derrick Henry as the reason why I don't want to say the Ravens offense has been dominant, but they have moments in which that they look dominant this season. I don't think Derrick Henry has been the reason for that. I think he's been a component in that, but it's not like he's like carrying the offense like Adrian Peterson did in 2012. Like, I don't even know who the quarterback was in 2012 when Adrian Peterson won MVP.
I don't either.
Exactly. Like, he was like, all you knew. I can't name you another skill position player on the. I can't name you another player on that football team. Forget skill position. Player on that football team. Okay.
Only reason I know that because he left the Bears.
Exactly. Like, I can barely name you another player on that team. So what Aiden Peterson was doing, he was carrying that entire football team. I don't think Derrick Henry is doing that. But what I do think Derrick Henry, and also even like Saquon, I think those two guys, like, I don't want to say they're bringing value back to the running back position, but I feel like they're at least bringing some value back and showing what your offense can turn into if you do have an actual feature back. That you can hand the ball off to 20 times and get 100 yards a game. So, no, I don't think he should win the award, but I do think he's having an incredible season, and he'll probably get some votes.
Dante, what you think?
He'll get a couple votes, but no, it's not going to happen. I mean, we've pretty much established that this is a quarterback award. It's been a quarterback award for a very long time, and it's to the point where I'm not a big fan of adding awards, but I mean, you might as well have, MVP, which is your QB award, and then a different award for a different position on offense, because every year, like, we ended up giving this award to a quarterback. And so I think Derrick Henry, despite the fact he is having a great season, you have some fans in the comments saying, he's getting, not cherry picking, but he's getting touchdowns because Lamar's driven him down the field. Derrick Henry's great, and a lot of people tried to write him off and say that it was going to be the end, that he was about to decline, but he's in the perfect system for him, because Lamar, with the weapon that he is, not only as a quarterback but with his legs, bro, it's crazy. Like that offense. I think that's the team that I'm really looking forward to seeing in the playoffs when it gets cold and they really get to run the ball on people, and hopefully they don't switch up like they did last year and try to prove a point. Because, I mean, they're going to be tough to beat. But I think he's having a great year. But MVP, I don't think that's going to happen.
Let's go to my final overreaction, man. The Cincinnati Bengals, they started 0-3. They are currently 4-5. They have won a couple in a row. They are a game and a half behind the final playoff spot in the AFC. My overreaction is they will be the 7th team in NFL history to start 0-3 and to make the playoffs. You got Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is having a great season. All of the faults of this team are not on the shoulders of Joe Burrow. He's playing with a god-awful defense. He's playing with a wide receiver who don't want to be there, and another one who's hurt all the time. And he has 2,244 yards passing, 20 touchdowns, and only 4 picks. I think they're going to make the playoffs. I'm not just saying that because I picked them to make the playoffs. And by my preseason pick was I had them in the AFC Championship game. Again, I had Joe being MVP. But if you look at the path for this team, I think it's very gettable. If you look in front of them, the teams in front of them, Broncos and Chargers, I think Pittsburgh is going to fall a little further down. And I do eventually think Baltimore is going to win that division. Pittsburgh looks good right now, but Pittsburgh still, I got to see them play tougher teams. They've got a real tough schedule when they get back from bye this week. I think they're going to fall a little down too. I think Denver's not going to hold on anything. Chargers are up and down. I think the Cincinnati Bengals are going to get the 6th or 7th playoff spot, and they're going to make it. Bang, I know you were heavy on the Bengals too. Do you think they can beat the 7th team, start on?
Goddamn right they can. I'm back on the Bengals bandwagon. I've never really left the Bengals bandwagon. I just looked at that division and being like, yo, it might be hard to get out of it. But looking at that schedule that they have too, I am still not leaving the Cincinnati Bengals bandwagon. I do think that they're going to make it to the playoffs. I do think that they're going to go far in the playoffs as well. It's just all about getting that defense shored up. That defense is the reason why they are where they're at right now. Like I said earlier, Joe Burrow is actually playing MVP ball. He just ain't got the defense that can hold them over. So, no, I don't think that's an overreaction at all. I think that the Cincinnati Bengals can make it to the playoffs and make a serious run at the Super Bowl this year.
You said run at the Super Bowl?
Yes, I picked them to win the Super Bowl. I picked them to win the Super Bowl. Why would I not continue to say that shit?
Okay.
But I also think once you get to the playoffs, you're game planning really against one team, and some of those teams that they've had success with. So, no, I think that if they keep going, again, it's just like I said with the Bears, it's confidence. Once you start rolling off some games, you get some confidence, you can really start to do some things.
We'll see. You said when y'all Commanders play in the sense that, yeah, but their defense is still trash. That's what we were talking about.
Defense is still trash.
Defense still stinks. That's what we was getting at. But Pav, what you think? Do you think they can get Navy another starter on 3?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's possible. I mean, obviously, number one, when you have one of the better quarterbacks in the league when he's on the field, like that's been on my only quarrel with Joe Burrow is he don't never be on the field. Like he be going out there and literally dying, and you don't see him until next year. But when he's on the field, he's definitely one of the best quarterbacks in the league, which usually guarantees you at least a playoff spot. So I do think it's possible. Again, they have weapons. The rest of the schedule doesn't look too intimidating. It's not like they were a bad team in general. They lost some of those games early on, like down the stretch, some of them. So it's not like they just, had to completely flip a switch. They just had to fix some things and actually start winning those games that they were losing. So yeah, I definitely think it's possible. I think they can string off a couple more wins. And again, their schedule doesn't look too intimidating. When I look at it, I mean, you got Baltimore this week. That is what it is. You got the Chargers, and you got the Steelers. You got Cowboys, Titans, Browns, Broncos, and Pittsburgh. That's not the most intimidating schedule. I think that you can string off a couple of those wins. So my answer would be, yeah, I think this is very, very possible.
Dante, close us out on Overreaction Monday.
I don't think it's an overreaction. I think, that offense is good enough to carry them to at least a playoff berth. I know that division is tough, and we always, especially with the way the Steelers jumped out the gate, we were saying, this is going to be an extremely tough division with the way that they started. But I think as long as you got Joe Burrow, I know I give him his criticism, but he is one of the elite quarterbacks. And that defense, they're going to get smoked when they get to the playoffs, but they'll at least get there.
Triple double hat trick, I know the code too. Ice trade, go for trade, yeah we cold too. Getting paper on these player haters, old news. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not